Then they came up with this hybrid solution, which is even more discriminatory because it's only the Jewish students who then are admonished and encouraged not to come to class. That's not right. Before we went out and had the press conference, we met with a large number of Jewish students there on the campus at a safe house off campus. And they expressed their angst with all of this, their concern, their fear for their safety, and the intuitive feeling that we all have that this is not right and it needs to be called out. So then we went and met with the college president, Shafiq, and we told her that it is time for her to resign. If she can't control that campus, the first responsibility of an administrator on a university campus is the safety and security of their students. If one fails in that obligation, they have failed entirely. Columbia is out of control. In the last several hours, overnight, I think they overtook a campus building. They're occupying a building now. They're unable to operate the university at a time when the students are preparing for their final exams. It's unfair, it's unright, it's unsafe, and it must stop. So we called for the police to come in and take care of it. If they're unable, then we need the National Guard. We have to have control of campuses. This is a common sense matter. The American people understand it. The crowd in Columbia was chanting for Hamas. They're waving Hezbollah flags, Hamas flags. Hamas endorsed the crowd in the protest within an hour before we began to speak there on Wednesday. This thing is out of control. And the administrators who are allowing this need to be removed, and we've got to get control of these campuses. End of story. And we're going to continue to call this out. We're going to continue to call it for what it is. Another thing that the American people are very frustrated about, of course, is as the leader mentioned and as all of us have referenced, is this administration's war on American energy. That's effectively what it has been. Since the day Joe Biden walked into the Oval Office and started issuing his barrage of executive orders, they have gone after the very lifeblood of the economy. Energy security is national security. And with his executive orders and the most recent one where he's paused LNG exports, he is empowering our adversaries. Vladimir Putin's war machine is being funded by European nations who are having to make contracts with him because they can't get liquefied natural gas from the U.S. They desperately need it. They want it. And we are making the decision through Joe Biden. Joe Biden has made the decision that he will hamper our own economy and energy production. Why? Because he is appeasing radical environmentalist activists in his party. This appeasement strategy isn't working. It is not working on the world stage. When you appease Iran and criticize Israel, it should be the other way around. It is not working when you appease radical activists on all these issues and you deny the basic facts of what's good for the American people. It's time for change. And we're going to continue to call it out. We're going to continue to pursue legislation. We're going to continue to pursue the support of our small businesses. As Chairman Williams said, the lifeblood of the U.S. economy is also small business. 75% of jobs provided by them, and they are being crushed by regulations from these out-of-control agencies. We're going to be working on every one of these things through the House Republican majority, showing the American people what we're for and drawing the contrast so they can see clearly what our side is for, what the Republican Party stands for, and what the other side does. With that, I'll take a few questions.
Mr. Speaker.
Right here.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. House Democratic leadership just announced that they would vote to table a motion to vacate, effectively saving your job for you. What's your reaction to that?
First, I've heard of it. Look, I have to do my job. We have to do what we believe to be the right thing. What the country needs right now is a functioning Congress. They need a Congress that works well, works together, and does not hamper its own ability to solve these problems. And so we saw what happened with the motion to vacate the last time. Congress was closed for 3 weeks. No one can afford for that to happen. And so we need people who are serious about the job here to continue to do that job and get it done. So I have to do what I believe is right every day and let the chips fall where they may. Y'all have heard me say that many times, and we'll continue.
Did you have any conversations with Leader Jeffries, either directly or through an emissary, before the National Security Supplemental came to the floor, about a possibility like this where you would receive Democratic support if a motion to vacate came up?
No. I was laser focused on getting the supplemental done. Now, I've had colleagues from both parties come up to me on the floor, of course, and say, we won't stand for this. We're not going to shut the government down and all that, shut the House down. And of course, I've acknowledged that, but I've not requested assistance from anyone. I've not focused on that at all. I've focused on getting the job done and getting the legislation passed, and that's what. No, there's no deals at all. No, not at all.
Mr. Speaker, would you be comfortable continuing to serve as Speaker by having the support of Democrats and effectively keeping your job because of Democratic support?
Listen, I am the Speaker of the House serves the whole body. I am a conservative Republican, a lifelong conservative Republican. That's what my philosophy is. That's what my record is, and we'll continue to govern on those principles. I mean, you hope you have the support of everyone, the entire country. But like I said, I've got to do my job and continue to keep my head down. This is a very serious time for the country. We're not playing games here. The world is on fire because of all the things that we've talked about today. We shouldn't be playing politics and engaging in the chaos that looks like palace intrigue here. We need to be doing the job that the framers intended for Congress to play, and that's what I'm about. I'll continue to pursue that every day, and we'll keep the wheels of government functioning. Scott, yep.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Switching to the campus protests, can you talk about, as a constitutional law guy, can you talk about how you think about some of these protests? What is permissible for these pro-Palestinian protesters, and then what is not permissible?
Look, it's a great question. I mean, I used to litigate the contours of the finer points of that. Look, you respect the free exchange of ideas. The university is intended to be the free marketplace of ideas. It's where you should have vigorous debate, thoughtful debate, consideration of weighty issues, and often you'll have very different opinions, vigorous disagreement. That's all great. That's what the First Amendment protects. This is not that. What these students are doing is shutting down the campuses, taking control of buildings. They are threatening their students' lives. They are chanting death to America. At some point, you cross the line, and they have. This is not protected free speech. What this is doing is violating the rights of others. Jewish students who are merely on campus trying to get an education, who are playing by the rules. They're impeded from going to class. They're impeded. They're told not to come onto the university campus where they are paying tuition and they have valid ID cards to be. When you cross that Rubicon and you begin to threaten the lives and intimidate and harass people to the point where they cannot engage in their freedom, then that is unlawful. There is time, place, and manner restrictions that the law has long respected, to where there are places and times for free speech events. This is not even close. This is not a close call. And for these university administrators to acknowledge that, I mean, Elise Stefanik has done heroic work in the House Education and Workforce Committee hearings, and those clips have gone viral because she asked university administrators at some of the elite universities, some of the top universities in America, if they could simply say that the calling for the genocide or the elimination of their fellow classmates crosses the line or not, and they couldn't say it. They equivocate each time. It's shocking to the American people. It's shocking to us, and we've got to reestablish where the lines are here. This is out of control, and I think everybody in America, every person of good conscience, understands that. When we were on campus at Columbia, we saw flyers. The Jewish students handed flyers that they had taken off of poles and trees and stuff on campus. That is literal imagery of the Nazis in the 1930s. One of the flyers had an image of a skunk with a Star of David on it, eliminate these people. I mean, it's stamped on the bottom at Columbia University. This is out of control. We've got to protect the innocent students there, and we got to say clearly, without any equivocation, that anti-Semitism is wrong, and we need to stamp it out. And I think that's incumbent upon every leader in this country to do it, and it's shocking to me the President of the United States will not take that step. One last question.
Thank you. I just want to get your thoughts on many of Democrats in the House calling for Congress to, quote, prioritize babies, toddlers, and families by reinstating things like the child tax credit, investing in in child care, and improving infant and early childhood mental health resources. Can I get your response to that? I wouldn't mind if Congressman Stefanik could also speak on the issue as well.
Well, look, I'll just say this. There's lots of ideas out there. What we stand for, what our party stands for, is support of families. We support infants and children, and there's an appropriate role to play in that. The devil's always in the details on legislation, so I'm not sure exactly what they're proposing. But all of us are looking at those avenues. We want to support families. That's good public policy in every way that the government can. And in our view, the best way often for the government to do that is to step back and allow the local and state officials to handle their business at that local level. We want to encourage flourishing families, and tax policy is one way to do that. You don't want to penalize marriage, which is what some of our backwards tax policy has done over the years. You want to allow families to flourish because that's the bedrock of society. So you'll continue to see us pursue that as a top priority. Do you want to address that? Yeah.
Sure. I'll add to this. We're proud to be a pro-family conference as House Republicans. There have been many of our members who have proposed very innovative solutions. One is rural child care, home-based child care. That's an issue that I've worked with many of my colleagues on the Education and Workforce Committee. But the economy, the border, crime, these issues, these crises caused by Joe Biden, they impact every family. And particularly when it comes to economic issues, in a district like mine where the median income is about $50,000 for a family, you're seeing increases in diaper costs, you're seeing increases in formula, the lack of access to baby formula. And we have highlighted that as House Republicans, and we're going to continue to highlight these economic crises impacting young families.
Thank you.